on NASDAQ, Israel is number two after United States, and some years like this year, number 3 after United States and Canada, before all the European countries. So I think it will be interesting to learn how we do it, and I don't say it's the best way, but at least it's give you some indication about innovation. And as for myself, I was academic for many, many years in the university. And one day a friend told me, look in the dictionary, what they say about academic is say theoretical and speculative without practical purpose or intention, having no practical meaning and usefulness. So I moved to Union for the Mediterranean, and here I am in Spain. As you know, science become more and more complicated, and we talk today about interdisciplinary science, and we combine chemistry and biology, and it become biochemistry, and the same is physics. So the technology is more and more complicated. And I would like to describe the connection between academia and industry, because this will bring us the new invention and the new startup. So the university people have idea, and they do a research, and the product is publication. And they get public grants on one hand, and the contract from companies on the other hand. And a result of the research, if it's applied research, are the patents. The companies, on the other hand, on the right side, they're doing a research strategy, and they develop research and development through the patents they got from the university. And we have a chief scientist which support the industry to develop new invention, and they have a product. As a result of production, new product related to the invention, the companies give royalties to the universities. And if we see the actual situation in most of the countries, we have university research institute and laboratories, and there are companies who are looking for the new invention and product. Between them, there is what we call the death valley. It's a gap that we have to bridge between the product which is not yet ready in the university to the product that the company is looking for, and we need definitely governmental support. And the governmental support in these cases is very, very important and essential. Now, a lot of people talk about innovation, and a lot of people say, let's stimulate innovation. But innovation we cannot teach. We need to nurture it in the right atmosphere, so people will be ready for innovation and will be stimulated to go towards innovation. And for this, we need to give incentive to the researchers. And innovation and biotechnology, for example, related to agriculture, not differently, has to give incentive to the researcher. So I want to give you just 2 examples for innovation in agriculture. This is a variety of tomato developed in Israel called Daniela, very famous because it's a long shelf life tomato which can stay out of the refrigerator 2-3 weeks with no harm. These are the cherry tomato which were developed in Israel, and you know them. I want to tell you another new development which just developed. These are plastic cover around the trees, which has a lot of surface area which collect the water. It collects the dew. Also the water which evaporates from the soil is stuck on the plastic and returned to the soil. So, and around the plant, we inhibit also the weeds. So it can save up to 50% of the water, and you can see the difference in lemon trees after 2 years. I would like to mention the a quotation from Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of the dreams." And always an inventor has to be a dreamer. So let's come to technology transfer. The universities own transfer technology companies who deal with the invention, because universities in Israel are public universities. They are not allowed to do business directly. So because of that, they own companies, and the company is dealing with the technology transfer. And the companies bringing the finding to the marketplace, and they also protect the university inventors and licensing out of through the professional team. And this is very important, that the inventor is protected by the university. This is typical department in technology transfer companies: into intellectual property department, legal department, business development, and finance. So it's quite easy. We can go back later on to details, but it's not so important, I think. I want to give you an example of Harvard, how a typical year. And Harvard, in this respect, is not the most successful university in the remarking the technology transfer, but they disclose about 300 inventions a year, new patent application 133, then they issue patent 38, they give license to companies for the invention, and start involving 7 startups. So this is a typical successful university. Now let's see what university can do with this invention. The most successful in the world is the Weizmann Institute in Israel, which make about $150 million a year. MIT 76, Stanford 62, California University 57, and the Hebrew University of Jerusalem 50. It's not common in Europe. and I learned university I visited in Europe. In Europe, because of tradition, professors are less involved in invention, less involved in money, and there is some kind of reluctance. And I think that first of all, it's not healthy, but from my point of view, it's even immoral in a way, because the universities are public universities. They take money from the taxpayer, and then when they have invention, instead of getting money to help the budget, they don't deal with it. And many European very good universities do not take advantage of the invention, and they give it rather free. As for the patents, the researchers always the inventor of the registered patent, but the university always own the patent and never sell the patent. They give a patent exclusive license to companies and get or to investors or venture capitalists, but never sell the patent, because you never know how patent is developing. And now the intellectual property income divided between the university and the researcher. If you remember, I told you about incentive we have to give the researcher. In our country, we give the researcher 40% to his pocket or her pocket out of the royalties, or after a stock, because in some cases there are startups, they don't have money, so they give part of the stock to the university and the researcher. In this case, everybody happy, because the researcher doesn't have to go around the bush and tell that he had the invention in the garage that nobody knows. He does it openly in the university, and the university gets money for that. The researcher is protected by the university and get his share, and this gives him or her the incentive to develop it. And we see it in many countries, also in Europe, and not in many, but in Europe, like in England and in Switzerland, that it's developed but the basic model is after United States. The anticipated time for research application, as you see, most of it between 2 and 7 years. And very little research we can expect to be in a product after 2 years. In many cases, the most successful product in the Weizmann Institute that I told you they make 150 million is for a drug for arteriosclerosis, which bring about 3 billion every year. It was about 18 years to develop it. So it takes a long time. We need a lot of patience. When I was young, I thought just the invention is the most exciting and the most important thing. Within the years, I learned what I was told by company people, that the marketing is not less important than the invention. And more years are going on, I believe more and more that marketing is not the most important, but at least important as the invention. And we have some problems in marketing a product from universities. First of all, the marketing is not aggressive enough. There are difficulties in distance of universities, difficulty in making good contract. There is always, not always, but many cases, exploitation by companies in signing and execution of the contracts, and weakness of litigation. The companies in many cases take advantage that the universities are weak and small companies, and they take advantage of it. And in many cases, they don't believe the university will sue them, and in many cases, the university choose not to sue them. So we have problem, but it can be overcome. So, and on the other hand, what the scientist advantage in dealing with it, because he get consultation bonus as he can be a consultant to the company. He registered the patent on his name, and in many universities today, patents are account for the success and promotion of the professor. Occasionally, there is scientific recognition. There are royalties, of course, or stock from the company. There are expectations for further development, and satisfaction and pleasure, it's also something. I have to emphasize that we do not allow the researcher to be involved in the company itself. He can be, or she can be, a consultant, but never having a job or presidency or scientific scientist of the company, because we don't want to cause infringement or this different approach that cause difference of opinion between the researcher and difference approach between the company and the researcher. So if he or she doesn't have any position in the company, we take it away with no problem. So as a whole, the 5 stages of a project is excitement and euphoria, then disenchantment, then you search for the guilty, punishment for the innocent, and distinction of the uninvolved. Thank you.